Okay, let's get started. Welcome, welcome. We'll spend about an hour together talking about habits and why change is so hard. If you ever tried adopting a new habit or changing one that you already have, but you're not happy with and gave up after a while, you are definitely in the right place. A bit of housekeeping before we start. I'll try to keep the talking in maybe under 40 minutes. Try to stay engaged so you can make the most out of it. And I'll also have an offer for you at the end to continue to work on this if this is something you need. I will change to sharing my screen. I know my laptop keeps moving, so it's going to be a bit annoying. So while the screen is on, I will stop the video. My internet is not great, so we can have both at the same time. Okay. I will share the screen. Let's see, where is my file? Open this. Share. Okay, and I will stop my video just so we're good. Let's put this on slideshow. Great. I hope you can see my screen and the presentation. Yay, yay, I can see the chat at least. Yes, great, thank you. Okay, then it's time to go. If you don't know me yet, let me give you a really brief introduction and a short summary of my own journey. So right now in 2020, I am a productivity coach, which means I help people get things done when they're overwhelmed by their never-ending to-do lists. I also host a podcast called The Introvert That Could and a personal development book club. And I also teach yoga on the side. Multiple passions, but they're all under one big umbrella purpose, and that is inspiring and helping people to achieve more. If you know your Myers-Briggs personality type, I am a INFJ, which is like an extreme introvert. So many of these things actually don't come easily to me, but with the right strategies and habits, you can do anything. However, 5 years ago, I was a completely different person. I was overweight. I had a corporate job that I actually liked, by the way, and I was spending my free time mostly watching TV and shopping. I wasn't active apart from maybe a 5K run a couple of times a week, and I didn't eat a healthy diet. And I'm saying this in a very, very objective way, not like it was bad or good. It's just this is how it was. Probably a very classic way of living. However, a few things changed since to get from person A to person B. It does look like it's a totally different person. Am I right? So I lost weight, I changed careers, my 5K runs turned into proper training, and I crossed the finish line of 1 full marathon and 6 half marathons. You know, after running the full one, I realized I'm only half crazy. So these were the results, but how did I get there? I focused on personal development. I knew that if I want my life to be better, I have to be better. I changed my habits because if you want different results, you have to take different actions. And I persisted. I'm not some kind of unicorn that's always positive and in the mood to do all the things. Sometimes I don't feel like it, but I still do it. And if you want to know the exact habits, I put here two lists, one of habits I adopted and one of habits I dropped. And by the way, I recently recorded a full podcast episode around them. So if you want the details, you can have a listen on the Introverted Could podcast. But now I'll just briefly mention each one. And it's funny how the slide shows the bad ones like they're the prettier, and in a way they are in real life too, right? So if you're wondering what does a person like me do or doesn't do, these are the lists. This is exactly it. So on the list of positives, we have exercise and healthy eating, meditation, or some kind of grounding technique, something that can remind me during my day where I'm going. Journaling, and by journaling, I mean even just taking notes, not necessarily writing down my thoughts. Calendar blocking, saying no. Saying no is my favorite productivity tool. Intentional rest, waking up early, thought awareness, reading and study successful role models, and patience and consistency. And on the list of habits I dropped, we have eating sugar, TV, drinking, social media, and spending on stuff. And I will come back a few times. I'll reference again social media because this is something that I'm still working on. And I will use it as example in the next few slides. Okay, give me a second to have a short sip of water. So if some of these seemed really familiar to you, you already tried them, but you quit, it felt too hard, you didn't feel like it most days, and eventually went back to your old habits, I want you to know that it's okay. That means you're human, but you're in the right place. Why do we form habits? This is a question I actually got from someone who asked, why do we even need them when they're so hard to change? And though I understand the frustration, here's the thing. Imagine if every time you went into a dark room, you had to stop and think what to do. But you don't. You automatically turn the lights on. Your brain learned by repetition that if it's dark, you turn the lights on. Imagine if you had to think through every step when you're driving. Again, every time. Your brain would eventually fry. So once you found a solution for a problem, repeated it a few times, and it worked every time, it can now become a habit. The brain can now store the exact sequence by building some circuits. And every time you'll be in that situation again, that circuit in the brain lights up and you don't even have to think about it, because then you can use that time and energy on something else. So it's about efficiency. And from tiny actions, you can build whole routines and then systems that just work without you having to reinvent the wheel every single time. Isn't that great? Now, the unfortunate situation is when your solution is not useful long term, but the brain already stored it. For example, my social media habit. So at some point, I got overwhelmed and picked up my phone and started scrolling. What happened is I got instant relief. I got a break. It felt good. So the brain said, oh, this helped. See, she feels better. Let's try to do it again. And I did it again and it worked again. So, okay, back in the subconscious it goes. So, even if it gives me instant relief, first of all, it doesn't solve my problem. I still have loads to do when I finish the scrolling. And long term, it made me addicted to social media. Can you relate to this with any of your habits? I'm sure you do. And the reality is that our lives are what we repeatedly do, and the quality of your life depends on the quality of your habits, from small actions to routines to systems. How are habits formed? It's basically a very simple sequence of if this, then that. All your habits share a very specific structure. By the way, when I say habit, you can also think sequence, pattern, repetitive thoughts you have, feelings. They all follow the same structure. It all starts with a cue. That can be something you see, smell, feel, something you think about. It can be anything, and on its own, a cue is very neutral. It means nothing until you make an interpretation and you have a specific thought about it. That thought makes you want to change your state, and that's a craving. So we're moving to step 2. For example, you hear your stomach growling. You make that mean that you're hungry and you should eat. Then you take an action that you know will fix it. In our example, you would eat food. And then get exactly what you wanted, a change. You're no longer hungry. There are a few more examples on the screen, and I want you to see that at the core, all we want, what all of us want, is to feel better. So whatever habit you have that you consider bad, you can stop judging yourself, because at the core, all you want is to feel better. You get that cue, you want to change your state, you get a craving, so you take an action. If the action is something that doesn't serve you long term, that's something else. But at the core, you just want to feel better. So then why is it so hard to change? Well, if you go back to the previous slide, one reason could be that the action, you don't have something different that can give you the same reward. The second point, where this can change and you can interrupt the pattern, is the crave step. You can make the cue mean something else, so it obviously requires a change in your thinking. For example, if you feel bored, you can think that it's okay to feel bored and you allow yourself to rest instead of trying to get busy, or in some cases eat. Okay, let's go back to this one. And the second way you can interrupt the pattern is to change the action. Find a different way to get the reward. And you know what, this is tricky because you don't always know what the habit gives you. The default when we have a bad habit is to judge it and try to change it without first trying to understand. So if you look at my social media habit, now that you understood that what I'm seeking is human connection, I bet you see it with more compassion than judgment. If I found something else to give me that connection, I wouldn't need the mindless scrolling anymore. So my encouragement is to be curious about your habits. And for some of them, you might have to dig deep because they weren't formed recently. For example, I used to be obsessed with having a clean home, and it wasn't serving me. And I did fix that, But just very recently, I realized why I had it. It was a protection mechanism. When I was a child, no matter how clean my room was, my mom used to storm in and tell me that it's a disaster. And I always felt bad about it and wanted to avoid that, obviously. So, yeah, it's fascinating, don't you think? Okay, again, let me have a sip of water. My mouth is drying out. The second reason why change is hard is because habits are automated. These are Yoko and Leona, my two beagles. I give them as example when it comes to habits a lot because if you want to study habits, just look at dogs. They do it best. If they sit, if sorry, if they hear sit, they think, "Ooh, I might get a treat." So they sit and they get a treat. Cue, crave, action, reward. This is how we train them, exactly how we form habits ourselves. I also observed what it took for them to change a habit. Sorry if you heard this story before. Um, I have it as example because I think it's really good in this case. After we moved into the marina with the boat, we changed the door we used to get out. The boat has doors both at the front and at the back. After almost 2 years on board, they had a habit. When they woke up in the morning and felt they need to pee, they went to the front door to show us they need to go, and we took them out. But things changed. So for a while, we had to retrain them to use the other door. Every morning, they they just forgot. So we had to remind them. And in the beginning, they were looking at us like we were crazy and we didn't understand the cue. Like us, we didn't understand. Mom, you're going in the wrong direction. And then bit by bit, they learned. It was so funny to watch them walk towards the front door and then realize that, oh, it's wrong. And then turn around. They had to undo those existing connections in their brains and create new ones. They had to unlearn their old habit. And you probably experienced this with changing location of objects around the house or maybe getting a new phone. My husband has a new phone now that doesn't have a home button anymore. And every time I pick it, it takes me a second to think, okay, how do I do this? How do I exit the app? When something is automated, you need to bring it back from the subconscious into your awareness. Otherwise, you'll just go with the flow. Okay, and next bit about why it's so hard to change. This pyramid shows exactly how our life goes. You have, starting from the top, you have a certain purpose in life. This dictates who you are. Part of who you are is the set of beliefs, traditions, values that make you take action. And through those actions, you get the results you have in your life, your habits, your environment, and that includes people and objects you're surrounded with. So here's the wrong way to change, and unfortunately, how we do it most times. Start at the bottom of the pyramid. Try to change the environment, other people, the external world, hoping that that will change you. And that never works. This is that endless, I'll be happy when, or I'll do this when that happens, and so on. And it never happens. Relying on the outside to produce change is you handing over your power, your life, to something or someone else. But then one step higher is behavior, your actions. Changing only that will probably produce some results, but very short-lived because you can't continue forever. Why? Because these actions are not aligned with who you are. You are basically lying to yourself, and you can't do it for too long. So then you go back to your old habits because that's what you believe in. This is why the weight loss industry will never go away, because all they give you is a meal plan and an exercise routine that you execute for a while, but without changing anything about how you think and what you believe in. And the result, you gain the weight back. Believe me, I've been there a few times. Also, another example is winning the lottery that won't make you rich if you don't know how to handle the money. So if you don't know how to be rich, you'll either hoard or spend it all, taking you straight back where you started. To create long-term change, you need to start at the top of the pyramid. So, working from the top of the pyramid. I know you cringed at the word purpose, so let's call it vision, because purpose tends to be misinterpreted. You might think that it needs to be something that will impact the whole world and be of service to others. Basically, that you need to be another Oprah or something. And that puts unnecessary pressure on you because not all of us have to be that. But everyone is here for a reason, be that raising a family, teach, inspire others, or just be the best that you can be. For a long time, all I wanted was to live an extraordinary life. That's it. It was just for myself. So the question is, what do you want? Moving down a step, so we tackled purpose here. Moving down a step, who do you need to be to achieve that? And feel free to move to this one, even if you didn't define a vision or a purpose yet. Could be something like a good mom, a successful business owner, a rich woman, a mentor, or a healthy person. You have to pick an identity. You know how you say about someone that went through a change, oh, I don't even recognize you anymore. It's like you're a different person. Here's the thing, they actually are. They are someone different. Because think about it. What defines you as a person? Is it your physical appearance or the way you think? And the way you think will determine the way you act. So once you change how you think and what you believe in, you basically become a different person. So now, what does it mean to be what you chose just now? What does it mean to be a good mom or a rich person? What do you need to think or believe in? And then, what do you need to know? Finally, what do you need to do? So finally, we got to the action steps. And once you find that out, you do that over and over again. And every time you do an action that belongs to this new personality, you reinforce it, you become it. And good news is you don't have to get it right every time, just most of the time. Okay, oh, that was quick. That being said, there's more to habits than pure repetition, it seems. So if this confused you in any way, do know that it's okay. It means it prompted you to think differently, and that means you're ready for change. You can absolutely have and do everything you want in life, and I can help you build the habits that will get you there. Change was only hard because you didn't know the right way to do it. So I want to invite you to be one of my 20 people that will join my new program, Better Habits Bootcamp. It's a mini course that I'm building to help you introduce new habits, to start taking steps towards that vision. We'll define a purpose and a new identity together. I'll help you understand yourself and your current habits better, give you the strategies you need to introduce new habits, and you'll also get a bonus training on how to fix a bad habit. Again, I need to get a sip of water. Right. And I'll also offer you some tools on what to do, the habits you want to do even when you don't feel like it. It will be in a video format, just like this webinar, together with some workbooks to help you apply what you learn. And the live portion of it, meaning the interaction with me, is 3 weeks, but of course you can keep the course forever. From here on, I will stop the share so I can give you an introduction to the course. Need to change. Okay, share screen again, and okay, so I will send you this link with the main page of the course. And here's what we're covering. We're going to understand your current habits, how to implement a new one, how to stay on track, and as a bonus, how to change an existing bad habit. And just as an overview of what's included in the course, better that it was in the presentation, it will be 4 modules dripped over 3 weeks in video format. The live calls plus the recordings if you can't make it live. And because I'm launching this for the first time, I do have a bonus that is a 1-hour private coaching session with me for every of the 20 people that sign up, because once we do get to 20 people, I will close the registration. So it will close either at 20 people or on Monday the 24th, even if we don't get to 20 people. And again, because it's the first time I'm launching it, it's for a no-brainer price and a special discount, and it's yours for just $47, which is insane. Even just the bonus private coaching session with me is more than this. So it really is a no-brainer. So I want you to take some time and think about the vision that you want to build and what would be the habits that you need to implement, and what's that identity that you need to become to achieve it. Okay, let me go back to my Zoom call and stop sharing, but start my video again. In the meantime, it got very dark outside, but yeah, I'm still here. I will send you the link and the recording of the webinar on email, and I hope to see you inside the Better Habits Bootcamp And we start in a week from today, on the 24th, which is a Monday next week. And that being said, it's been a pleasure for me to be here. I hope you really got something out of it, and I will talk to you soon.